Good morning. After this week of national calamity, it is a reassuring joy to be with you in this virtual space. Our church community welcomes you, whether you are new or a longtime member. We especially want to welcome those who are here for the first time. If you would like to learn more about our community and its online offerings, please go to nsuc.org and sign up for our newsletter. There has never been a better time to get involved or to become a member of the North Shore Unitarian Church. We would like to get you connected, and we welcome you today. Let us now begin our worship with music.
As we come together after a challenging week, full of anxieties and uncertainties, I welcome us to ground ourselves here together in love. Because as much as we carry the heartache of the world and the uncertainty and the fear of what we have witnessed this past week, we also carry hope for a new year, a new chapter. I light our chalice in that spirit, and I invite the Jones family to lead us in our opening words.
Good morning. We're the Jones family, and it's good to be with you today. At the beginning of this new year, we invite the NSUC community to worship with some words by Lisa Daggy.
For the new year, just days old, beginning today, always beginning, we light our chalice, symbol of faith, perseverance, and hope, in astonished thanksgiving and irrepressible praise.
For beginnings that emerge out of endings, appear amidst community, become visible in hindsight, we light our chalice, symbol of faith, perseverance, and hope, in astonished thanksgiving and irrepressible praise.
For all the times and all the ways we have begun anew together, we light our chalice, symbol of faith, perseverance, and hope, in astonished thanksgiving and irrepressible praise.
Today, I'd like to tell you the story of the hill forest. Perched on top of a knob, this ancient woodland towered above the surrounding landscape and was visible from far around. For generations, the hill forest had been home to many different kinds of animals. deer, blue jays, foxes, squirrels, and numerous insects that flitted and buzzed about the many plants found here. The animals took great pride in their home. For generations, the hill forest had sustained their ancestors. One cold winter's day, everything changed. Deer, with its sensitive hearing, was the first to hear it. It was quiet and distant at first. Soon other animals heard it. The chirping and buzzing stopped as the animals listened carefully to the strange noise. Suddenly, a large group of humans came roaring into the forest, climbing up the hillside in large groups. Humans had come to the hill forest before, but never like this. These humans were loud and angry. Some carried clubs, others carried torches. Leave, leave, squawked the blue jay as he flew over the animals in the direction of the river below. And with that, the animals followed the blue jay to the river. Some hid on the bank, others in the water, all scared and unsure of what was happening to their home. From their refuge, the animals could see smoke rising from the treetops and heard the sound of trees crashing on the forest floor. Was this the end of the hill forest, they wondered? For several hours they could only watch in horror as flames leapt high into the canopy and the people shouted almost gleefully. When things did finally calm down, it was brave old Blue Jay who flew over the hill forest to see if it was safe to return. With a tear in his eye, he flew back to the animals and squawked, "Come, come!" One after another, the animals cautiously ascended the hillside to their home. The animals were shocked by what they found. Trees had been cut down, some completely and some only part of the way, as if for fun. Nests had been overturned. Garbage and spent fireworks littered the ground, and entire sections of the forest had been burned. Some of the animals were angry, others were sad. All felt vulnerable. How did this happen to their home? Why did the humans do this? No one was quite sure what to do next. And then came a small voice. It was Squirrel. "I can carry seeds from the unburned part," she said. The animals nodded. "Acorns, acorns," squawked the blue jay as it motioned to its mouth with its wing. The animals knew that the blue jay was offering to carry acorns in its mouth, one of its skills. Soon the other animals were not only offering to help, but were in motion, doing the work that needed to be done to begin the work of repairing their sacred home. Not all was lost either. From the ashes of the fire emerged flowers and mushrooms. While the fire had been intense, it couldn't destroy the generations of seeds that had built up over time in the soil. Little by little, these plants emerged from the ashes and began to carpet the barren forest floor. The animals knew that it would take time, cooperation, vigilance, and most importantly, hope, but the hill forest would survive. The end.
North Shore Unitarian Church is a community that is grounded in love, guided by reason, committed to spiritual growth, and striving for justice. We accomplish this mission through the generous donations of our members and friends. And so we invite you to text your donation now. Please note that in order to give, you must include NSUC and the amount. my beloved companions. Let us find each other in that place of prayer and meditation where we connect to the very spirit of life itself, to the sacred that binds us to each other and to the world around us. Gentle Spirit, we gather this week with hearts that are broken and angry and concerned and fierce and oh, so very tired. We struggle with scenes of violence. We hold the reality that what it means to be an American varies wildly among those who claim that identity. And we bear the loss of 4,000 of our fellow citizens a day from one disease alone. The question arises again and again, is this who we are? As Unitarian Universalists, we find hope in who we are. In the words of Leonard Mason, we affirm the unfailing renewal of life. Rising from the earth and reaching for the sun, all living creatures shall fulfill themselves. We affirm the steady growth of human companionship, rising from ancient cradles and reaching for the stars. People the world over seek the ways of understanding. We affirm a continuing of hope, that out of every tragedy, the spirits of individuals shall rise to build a better world. Spirit of life, may we who honor each being's worth and dignity, as well as the web that connects us one to another, may we move forward in actions that spread love and promote the flourishing of all life, all people. Blessed be, and amen.
Maybe it shouldn't be so surprising how fascism and hate and white supremacy keep breaking through, trying to take what clearly does not belong to them. Maybe it's good, too, that it's still so horrifying, that it still shocks us, because if it didn't, what would that mean? Maybe it's good that the brazenness of hatreds as old and older than this country, fueled by a moral vacuum of leadership, still breaks our hearts. Maybe the 24/7 update we need most, more than the scrolling terror on every screen, is to have our hearts broken open to deeper compassion and resilience. A 24/7 heart and soul cycle of love. Sometimes that means turning on the news and sometimes turning it off. Sometimes that means taking to the streets or taking to prayer or to art or to friends or checking in with ourselves and our neighbors, being sure that we're taking care of the lives we can. Maybe, too, in the breath that we are able to take in those sacred pauses when we find the intensity, we might realize how we can bring whatever gifts we have to bear. Our voice, our vote, art, song, love, hope, resilience, story, organizing, for the remaking and reconsecrating of not only democracy, but the world we all deserve.
In a passage from To the Lighthouse, Virginia Woolf said that life was sometimes a burden. It is a burden that has to be borne despite its baffling and painful qualities, but it is nonetheless sometimes a burden. Woolf wrote this of the main character in the novel: "She felt that this thing called life terrible, hostile, and quick to pounce on you if you gave it a chance. There were the eternal problems, suffering, death, poverty. There was always a person dying, even here. And she had said to all these children, 'You shall go through with it.'" This week we have been going through with it, with the pain and the challenge, with the terrible and the hostile. In one sense, what we have witnessed this week feels new, like a deep rupture. According to Samuel Holliday, Director of Scholarship and Operations with the U.S. Capitol Historical Society, the stunning display of insurrection was the first time the U.S. Capitol had been overrun since the British attacked and burned the building in August of 1814 during the War of 1812. Watching the images this week of Congress members crouching down because potentially armed rioters were roaming the halls, and people scaling the walls of the Capitol building and breaking down its doors, it all seems unreal, like something from a Hollywood action movie. And yet, in another sense, this does not feel unreal. This does not feel like a radical break. It rather feels like the culmination of the last several years. Matthew Potts, a professor at Harvard Divinity School, summarized the zeitgeist this way: hate crimes have been rising. Violent misogyny has become routine. Police kill people of color with impunity. Education, or the lack of it, divides citizens as partisans. Media organizations can track neither our lies nor our leaks. Politicians proudly vow not to govern. End quote. In this light, breach of the Capitol seems like a foreseeable culmination rather than a radical rupture. Whether this is break or continuity, in a way it doesn't matter. As people of goodwill and faith, we turn these questions in our hearts today. Where do we go from here? What is next for us? This has become a national question, a national preoccupation. How do we quench this fire that seems to burn hotter and brighter with each passing moment? Is there any possibility for negotiation, reconciliation, for moving forward, for something different? Or is the way forward simply a matter of bearing things and bracing ourselves for the next escalation, as Virginia Woolf seemed to imply in her novel? I'm going to suggest a different approach today, and I will do that by turning to the story of a word. It is a Greek word. It's the Greek word encrypsius. This particular word appears only one time in the entirety of the New Testament. It appears in the parable of the leaven. It is one of the shortest of Jesus' parables, and I will recite it here. The kingdom of heaven is like the yeast a woman used in making bread. Even though she encrypsius only a little yeast in 3 measures of flour, it permeated every part of the dough. Now, most English Bibles translate the word encrypsius as mixed. So the woman mixed the yeast into the dough. But that is not a great rendering of that word. It's true that the word encrypsius is unique in the New Testament, in that particular story in the New Testament, but its cognate is a common one. We'll probably recognize it. The cognate is crypto. A number of English words make use of this cognate, including the words encryption and cryptography. It means to hide. So the better translation of the parable is, even though she hid only a little yeast in 3 measures of flour, it permeated every part of the dough. Now, hiding has particular resonance in the New Testament. In other passages, things that are hidden do not remain so. As the scholar Amy Jill Levine writes, the New Testament usually pairs hiding with inevitable exposure. As one passage says, "You are the light of the world. A city on a hill cannot be hid." Elsewhere, Jesus says, "Nothing is hidden that will not be disclosed, nor is anything secret that will not become known and come to light." When you hide a thing, whatever it is, whatever the size, it will likely come to light. Simultaneously, and perhaps paradoxically, I cannot help but think that hiding also has associations of cunning and deception. We deceive when we hide, making it challenging for another person to notice. There is an advantage that the person who is doing the hiding has over the person who does not see the thing get hidden. If I hide something, the implication is that I know of its location and I do not want others to notice. Like a child who hides a cookie or a coder who encrypts a message, the action gets the best of the oblivious onlookers. There's one other thing that needs attention in the parable before we put all of this together, and I tell you why I'm thinking of this today and not of something else. And this other thing in the parable has to do with scale. Indeed, the parable is referencing no small loaf of bread. 3 measures of flour are an enormous quantity. They are equivalent to about 60 pounds of flour. And so the parable is saying that the woman hid a very small amount of something, perhaps in a way that no one noticed or that even deceived onlookers, and yet that small amount spread throughout the entire quantity and changed it. To summarize, first, what you hide does not get lost. Instead, it eventually comes to light. Second, this thing that you hide makes a difference with or without others knowing that it will make a difference. And third, scale does not matter here. Even your small contribution can change something many times its size. Many of us are sitting today with the question of what is needed to repair our politics. How can we create conversations and find commonality across gaping divides? And it is an important question. It is a question that I have talked about in sermons. How do we bridge political differences? But I am also feeling the limits of that question this week. The breach of the Capitol by radical factions shows us the limits of conversation and reaching across differences. For the most radical contingents in our society, the ones who want to euthanize our democratic values and norms, we may not find a lot of commonality. Now, I always hold on to hope that people can have a change of heart, because they do. But with politics being what they are in this particular moment, I think it might be wise not to bank on that kind of change. Instead, today, I highlight the theory of change that Jesus promotes in the parable of the leaven. This parable is not an argument for compromise or negotiation or reconciliation. It's not about sitting down with people and talking through our differences. Instead, Jesus is arguing, if you want to see things change, hide the kingdom of heaven inside of everything that you do. Encrypt love and justice and hope inside of your actions. Don't worry about whether it looks like what you are doing is making a difference right here in this moment. That doesn't matter. What is hidden will not remain so. Instead, it will slowly spread throughout the body politic, creating improbable change beyond what we can imagine. Even when the structure is ridiculously, unfathomably large, even when it seems like your small contribution may be lost and will be made meaningless in the midst of violent actions, it will be changed by the small thing that you add. That small thing that you add to the world is crucial. It sounds fanciful. It sounds like something that you'd read about in a story or a novel and not believe that some small action could contribute to some great change. But it does work. Like a community organizer in Georgia that knocks on door after door to register voters, such small actions eventually shift the entire structure. They eventually change the entire conversation. Putting that love out into the world, bringing those bits of the kingdom into our everyday actions makes a difference in our lives and in the world. So bring your gifts, encrypt them inside of everything that you do, with or without the permission of others. To quote the poem that Atticus read for us today, bring whatever gifts you have to bear, your voice, your vote, your art, your song, your love, your hope, your resilience, your story, your organizing for the remaking and reconsecrating of not only democracy, but of the world that we all deserve. Encrypt the kingdom of love inside of all of your actions that you put out into the world. As terrible as things look, as hostile as life gets, times are never too dark for just that. If you found something of meaning here today, I invite you to share the link for this service with your friends and family. In a few moments, we will have coffee hour. You can find the link to that pasted in the chat here on YouTube, or you can also find it in the newsletter. You are most welcome to join us. But first, by way of closing, I offer some words by Donna Markova. I will not live an unlived life. I will not live in fear of falling or catching fire. I choose to inhabit my days, to allow my living to open me, to make me less afraid, more accessible, to loosen my heart until it becomes a wing, a torch, a promise. I choose to risk my significance, to live so that which comes to me as seed will go on to blossom, and that which comes to me as blossom will go on to fruit. May that be so in our lives, in this new year, in this new chapter. Amen.